What's happening, guys? Harriseth here, coming back to you again with another episode of the Learn to Play series. In this episode, I shall be covering some Mage burst damage with Frost Bomb, and this is going to be specifically for the Frost Spec Mage. I will probably start covering some more in the Fire and other specs later on, but for now, what we're going to try doing this episode is burst a target down using Frost Bomb, and to do that, we need to really learn how to use Frost Bomb. So let's have a look at the Mage class in general and how we're going to start coupling things together to maximize the amount of damage that we can output with the Mage. And to start this off, what I'm going to do is we're going to start looking at some of your passives. So the passives we have here that we need to look at for the Frost Mage are, of course, one, Fingers of Frost, which is a really powerful passive that allows your Frost Bolts, Frost Fire Bolts, and Frozen Orb chances, and anything freezing the target, a chance to grant you increased damage from your ice lands, as well as the ability to use other abilities such as your Deep Freeze. When it is active, you'll see the little marker pop up on the sides around your character to show this is active. The second big one there is obviously going to be the Mastery Frostburn. This pretty much informs you that if you stack Mastery as a Frost Mage, you are going to actually increase your damage done to any target that is frozen. Now, a target that is frozen, it generally means it's going to be sitting in one of your core abilities such as Frost Nova, or your Pet's Nova, or a Deep Freeze, or even when you use Ring of Frost, or should I say Frost Jaw as well. These all count, and these all cause your target to be frozen, and when they do, this increases the damage. In my case here, I have about 32% mastery, which means I'm getting an increase of about 32% damage against those frozen targets, which is huge. So we now have to know that not only are we using abilities to prioritize on procs, we're using abilities to prioritize that we do the maximum amount of damage just from the mastery on what state the target is in. The last one there, of course, is going to be Shatter. And Shatter, what it does is it also works with your frozen targets the exact same way as the mastery does, except it increases the critical chance of your Shatter by 50%. So every spell that you cast on the target that is frozen now has nearly maximum amount of crit that you can do. So you're critting with increased damage, and this is huge. This is where the Frost Mage really stands out. And from that, then we have also Brain Freeze, which is a proc that you'll get from Frost Bomb, as well as Nether Tempest and other abilities that will allow you to use your Frostfire Bolt instantly, which is really useful. Again, you obviously want to boost that up. So we'll jump in here and we're just going to have a quick look at how this actually affects the Frost Bomb. Okay, now the first clip I have up here is just what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show Frost Bomb cast on a target without the frozen effect. And what you will see now is when it explodes after a few seconds, it's just going to hit, and in this case it hits for about 38k damage, and there's nothing really special or awesome about that. However, what happens if we then Frost Bomb target and freeze it? And this is where the big difference comes in. I'm going to freeze it there, and look at that amazingly big jump and change. Not only did it crit for double damage, but it also got the additional 30% damage and hits for over 100,000 damage on this Warlock. And you can do this anytime, and this is going to be the core of where the game kind of comes in with a Frost Mage and how you play. You have to prioritize timing if you're playing as Frost Bomb. And timing is absolutely everything in the Mage, because the moment that you switch out your times and you find different abilities and do them in different order, you will not actually push out the damage you need to do, and you can actually end up kicking yourself in the foot depending on the order of attack that you do. Okay, just jumping on that and how easy it is to kind of screw up as a Mage quite a bit, and you probably don't even realize it yourself in your mind how it works, because I know this, when you're beginning out as a Mage, you tend to do all these errors and you're not thinking about why your damage. You look at the damage and go, wow, that was big damage, but it really wasn't as big as you might have been able to do had you known to use the proper stuff. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to open up with a traditional Frost Bomb into a Shatter combo, except I'm going to do the Shatter combo immediately before the Frost Bomb ends. And what's going to happen here is that Shatter combo is going to break my Frost Nova, causing me to lose the additional 30% damage on my Frostbomb blowing up. Now in this case I got lucky with the crit, because it didn't have Frost Nova up, which means I wasn't getting my Shatter combination of 50% increased crit. So this was actually a lucky crit. In most cases that probably wouldn't happen, and it would only hit for the 32k damage. And you're probably wondering, oh, why didn't it do so much? But the fact of the matter is you have to be also aware that your Frost Nova, or your pet's Frost Nova, is only susceptible to a certain amount of damage you can take. So the timing of the attack has to be pretty key in hitting them all three at the same time, so they're all getting the effect of the Shatter combo. And that's really where it gets difficult. It gets really difficult from there. Okay, now this next scene that I'm going to pop up is just to show you quickly one of your major cooldowns, which is called Icy Veins. And what Icy Veins will do is it's going to increase your haste by 20%. Now, a lot of people aren't aware, but this also affects your Frostbomb timer on the target. Now, on average, your Frostbomb will sit in the target for about 4 seconds. With Icy Veins up, it'll be 3 seconds, which means you are down on time to proactively react to make sure to get this target frozen. And you need to be aware of that, because it becomes a different priority in your mind, and eventually after using it hundreds and hundreds of times and getting a feel for it, knowing that your target always has to be frozen every single time you cast that Frostbomb, then you'll start to kind of build it up into your mind that you can just do it on natural reaction rather than having to think about what I can do all the time to freeze my target. And so we can work with that from there, and we can start looking at how we can maximize the damage. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to jump into a Shatter combo off of that Frostbomb. And what a Shatter combo means is that I'm going to cast Frostbolt and Ice Lance, and I want them both to blow at the exact same time as the Frostbomb, maximizing that one burst attack without the use of any real cooldowns other than maybe your pet freeze or your Frost Nova, if you have it yourself. Now, as you can see, when the three of those attacks burst off, and you'll have to notice how quickly the timing needs to be, that the target is frozen and you have to time it with your Frostbomb. So you have 4 seconds. So what I'm doing here, more or less, is I'm casting Frostbomb, and I'm waiting about 1 to 2 seconds to cast my then Frostbolt, Ice Lance into a not into a deep freeze, just into a normal freeze, and then you get a 3 combo attack at the same time, which is doing massive bursts that most players have to really use cooldowns or some other effect just to come out of. And this is on average what most Frost Mages can do. And it's really strong, and I recommend it. And the one thing I love about the Mage is how well you can mix it up to do even more damage over longer periods of time, with incorporating such as Deep Freeze, which is one of your main stun cooldowns that you will have to use during either Fingers of Frost or when the target is frozen. Or of course then you have Frozen Orb, which is massive AoE damage, which also procs Fingers of Frost to give you additional Deep Freeze if you wanted to. And you can really mix it up, and there's so much power and complications and reactions to this Mage that getting the timings correct should be your #1 priority, rather than worrying about all this stuff. I mean, you can start thinking about that in the later gameplay. The more advanced you get at playing the class, the more you will just reactively use all of these abilities. Now the trick right now is trying to focus and make sure that you have it in your head, the timer of Frostbomb, and if you can time it really, really well, you can start seeing how you will gradually improve and get used to doing it as second nature. And this is probably one of the core things you need to be doing as a Mage. Now in this next clip, what I'm going to do is just quickly show how you can actually get around not having both your Novas. For example, if you don't have your Pet Nova active or your Frost Nova active, your personal one, to keep the target locked down, how you can actually utilize and start using other things like your Frozen Orb, for example, to lock a target down during the Frostbomb. You can use this as timing, and this brings up the options. So I'm just going to remove both my abilities here, so they're on cooldown. So technically this is the scenario we're in, and we want to get a Frostbomb off on this target. It's an emergency, and we have to blow this guy up as quickly as possible. But I have Frozen Orb, so I'm going to deep him off that Frozen Orb, and then I'm going to shatter him in top of that and go for massive damage all inside the Frozen Orb. Now you have choices here. Being able to cast Frostbolt during that duration is really situational. In some cases, it's probably just yet better just to use the global directly on Icelands and just keep Iceland spamming, and then using the procs of brain freeze just to give yourself some frostfire bolts on top of that, just to increase the damage. Or you can actually try to get, in this case I went for a Shatter combo on top of that and then followed it up with some Ice Lances and a Frostfire Bolt, which got me the kill within the timer of the deep freeze. And that's really strong. So with that, I'll just move on to the last little state, and just to show some real big power of the Mage. If you start incorporating things like alter time in with your frozen target, in with frozen orb and procs, as well as presence of mind, and if you start mixing them all up, but this is going much more advanced for this episode. All I want to get you guys to do in this episode is to start practicing thinking proactively about how to make sure that at all times your target is frozen whenever you put Frost Bomb. And that'll be it for this episode, guys. I hope there was some useful information for any of you guys that are playing Mage, and even if you're not playing Mage, you should really take this info from the classes and know what a Mage can do to you, and when you want to kind of you want to think about when you're going to take and get cooldowns. Like if you see an orb of death coming at you, you really want to get out of there, or you want to have your healer dispel you or get you out of there, or even pop a defensive cooldown, because if you go into a deep freeze, you can expect some big damage. If you have a bomb on you with a deep freeze, you can expect some big damage, and so forth. But I hope this was helpful, guys, and of course I'll be back again on Monday, and I'll try to keep up these episodes over the course of the week. Thank you for watching, guys. I will see you next time.